Hello. Sorry, just listening. My name is colon Lacey hyphen Jane colon Taylor period, and I say it that way for a specific reason. I'll explain in a second. But first things first, I wanted to come on here and explain some energy, trying to maneuver it around a little bit because there's a lot of resistance. And that's because a lot of people are not on the understanding that um, well, I've found out that a lot of people are operating in an old narc system, and it's computerized now. It's computerized. What they've done is they've taken essentially like the old system of like um, the way that they would get energy or like loosh or money or whatever is obviously what is it, the Hegelian dialect, where they create a problem and then the solution, and then they bring in the solution, and then they make money off of the problem that they created. That's narcissistic, because you're gaslighting an entire group of people that are like also assuming that the system is um, uh, assuming that everybody is a part and conjoined in like a communal like social system, where now it's not there's no love, there's no connection, there's no um, enlightenment, there's no alignment, or maybe there's some alignment, but you have to be on a very I don't want to say high, but like a very stable or like an aware alignment if you're going to be doing that, because you have to recognize, again, this is a narcissistic system. I just found out that recently, like a judge, and I'll get into again my why I state my name that way is because I claimed my life in a dead system. I've claimed it through the correct parse syntax quantum correct sentence structure, communication, parse syntax quantum grammar, really, in the true corrected space. So I've realized that there is a dead narcissistic system that has literally taken the feminine energy and just created like this loosh hole of like problem, solution, feeding time for whatever fucking entities. And I like, this is confirmed recently in my life because my generation, they've completely mind controlled have I recently found out because the courts are supposed to be closed, but apparently a judge actually signed off and like to kick me out of where I was actually holding my space on 9/11. They have to do that because that's their timeline. 9/11 is their timeline. That's their like go-to thing. Like, oh yeah, now it's time to cause chaos, and here's our chance to go in and get this shit, get this gold here, this alchemical gold. It's not. It's fucking trash, fucking trash. But I've stated and I've claimed my life consciously with my, and have done that process. So I'm not actually in the jurisdiction of their disgusting, irrational, chaotic, narcissistic system. Um, and I want to make everybody aware of that because the election is coming up tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but in like 2 days or whatever. And it's going to, what they've done is they've created this little game. Let's say it's kind of like baseball, even though it's way more satanic and fucking narcissistic than that, because it's literally what they've done to women and like the energy in children essentially is they've taken a bunch of dicks, put them together, and then they all like, I don't know, research what like, because George Bush was a part of like the Skull and Bones and like the Freemasons and shit. And yeah, you can make stuff up, but some of that stuff is fucking real, where they essentially I don't know, a bunch of dudes like jack off to each other, and that's how they create their thing. But you can't create anything that's any sort of sustainable or like living with like actual and like true multi-level like awareness and intelligence with without the feminine. with Without that. So it's kind of like a bunch of dicks got together and like jacked off to each other and then created like this fucking weird non-living thing that can be programmable. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to get into that. However, like that's where people are at. They're like they're in a delusion, really. It's a overlay. It's a narcissistic gaslighting of children. And that's not going to be fucking playing around in my fucking reality. I feel it right now. Electromagnetically, so fucking damn it. Adios.